Hi everyone, I'm Amy Gardner Anderson and I'm the owner and trainer at Bear Paw Barn in Middletown, Connecticut. I periodically get asked to make how-to videos and I've been putting this one off for a little while, but it's quiet here this afternoon, so figured I'd give it a go. So I'm going to show you how to clean a stall. And this may sound like a very simple thing, anybody can do it, which is true, but there are definitely techniques and ways to do it that make a better fluffy stall, get rid of the ammonia smell, and save your body a little bit if you're doing your ergonomics correctly. And you can also save money if you're cleaning efficiently. And then putting the bedding back, putting in the new bedding in an efficient way as well. So the stall I'm cleaning today is Skip's stall. He's been on stall rest for about 6 weeks, and except for going out for hand walks. So he's in here all the time. Some days he makes a total mess. Other days it's not so terrible. It just depends on, I don't know, whatever party he had last night in here. It looks like it was a doozy. And we have the stall fairly heavily bedded for him because he has an injury and we want it to be soft. Sometimes if you bed with less bedding with a messy horse, it's easier to clean, but they don't have anywhere to lay down. Most of our horses live outside 24/7, but we still keep shavings in their sheds. They can choose to lay down wherever they would like. But when they're inside, I like them to have nice, fluffy, comfortable bed to lay on. There are mats underneath the stalls, so they're not laying directly on dirt or cement. So I use a combination of pelleted bedding and shavings. I find this combination works the best to control moisture and, minimize the waste that you're taking out of the stall, because basically we're putting in the bedding and then we're throwing it away. And it's expensive, if you're not managing it well. It adds a big line item to your cost. So there's the biggest, most important thing to remove from the stall is anything that is wet with urine or even water, because the urine is what makes that ammonia smell that is so overwhelming in the back of your throat when you walk into a barn, or when you're cleaning the stall. And over time, that ammonia can cause damage to both your lungs and your horse's lungs. It can contribute to respiratory illness and issues in horses long term. So the more you get the wet out, the healthier your horse is going to be, and the healthier you're going to be cleaning the stall and working in the barn. It's sometimes hard to find the wet spot in the stall, but you have to just, each horse kind of comes up with a habit. Like they have a place where they typically pee and a place where they typically pass manure, but not everybody's the same, and sometimes they walk it all around, so it's harder to find. But once you know your horse and kind of where they go in the stall, it's easier to identify. But I'm going to do the fast motion version of how to clean a stall, and hopefully you'll get some ideas. But basically what I'm going to do is pick through, find all the manure that I can see on the top, kind of scrape off any bedding that looks sort of clean to try to find the wet spot underneath. I'm going to clean that out really well using a broom and a shovel to get all of it. Then I'm going to take the sides, I'm going to toss the bedding up against the wall, because literally poop rolls downhill, and then I can pick what lands at the bottom and throw that out. And then after I've done that step, then I'll start to pull the walls down, the piles on the walls, and as it rolls across the stall, also the poop will roll across the stall, so you can pick that up off the top. But again, the main thing is get out the wet. Okay, so I'm going to do my super fast motion cleaning technique, and hope you guys get something out of it. Thanks. The challenge with cleaning stalls is that it's physically difficult, particularly if you're injured in any sort of way. It can hurt your back, it can hurt your neck, arms, hands, whatever. So what I tell people to do is do not do this. Do not bend down and pick up like this, okay? Because you're gonna kill yourself if you have to do a whole stall that way. But if you stay standing straight up and only pick within what you can reach from where you're standing. Then you're not bending constantly. So you step into the space where you need to clean, so you're within, you know, pitchfork reach without straining, and then just turn and toss it. The problem with this is, you know, you're in one sort of position, so it can kind of get to your neck and shoulders after a while, but you have to try to learn to switch hands, which feels sort of impossible. But the more you practice, the easier it gets. So we are not doing this, right? We're doing this, straight up and down, and then toss the bedding. So we're getting into the toss the bedding up against the wall stage. I did find one of the wet spots is over here. I haven't cleaned it out yet, but I can tell it's wet because it's yellowish, darker than all the other bedding. And if I started to scoop it, I can feel that it's heavy. So it's like kind of compacted, and you can see it's definitely yellow, definitely wet compared to the rest. So any other bedding I find in this area that I want to clean that all. Okay, so we've gotten through the pick out the surface part, and you know, everything you can see on top. Pull back the bedding, find the wet spot. That's basically all done, unless I find another one hiding in here someplace. And now we're getting to the toss against the wall, because shit rolls downhill. We're getting to that part. So we're gonna throw all the bedding up against the wall. This not only, it fluffs the bedding, it turns it over, aerates it a little bit, so there's less mold that accumulates. It doesn't get all like yucky up against the walls. Some people bank their stalls, particularly if you have a horse that might get cast or something like that, but this horse doesn't need it. He does best with actually kind of a pile in the middle, because then he spreads it all out. So I'm gonna get back to the fast motion version. So we're gonna toss it against the wall, get all the way around, then I'm gonna start to pull it back down and see what's hiding underneath the mounds of bedding that are in there. Okay, you can see I've got it all tossed back. Did not find any other magical wet spots. And a lot of people might hand sift like this all of the bedding, but I can't do it because it takes too much time. But I also have carpal tunnel, so gripping and holding on to the pitchfork for a long time and doing stuff like that really aggravates my hands. So, you know, a lot of people might be bothered by the fact that there's like these little teeny broken up pieces of manure left, but that's probably not going to hurt the horse. The thing that's going to hurt the horse is the wet spot, the ammonia smell from the urine. It's also not good for their feet and everything else. So if there's little broken up dry pieces of manure in your bedding, like, don't beat yourself up over it. Usually just you know, if I feel real picky or I have a lot of time, I'll spend a little more time getting like little individual pieces like this, but most of the time it's like, it's not worth it, because that's not going to really affect the horse's health. Eventually it's all going to get taken out anyway when I show you how to do the bedding, so that the dirty stuff gets dirtier while the clean stuff stays cleaner. Okay, now we're going to get to the pull down the walls phase, and we'll see what I missed during the other two picking phases. Like different textures going on in here, that there's, you know, some fluffier like sawdust stuff, and that's the pellets that have broken down, and so they're more absorbent than the shavings flakes. It tends to end up on the bottom of the stall, so it's a little bit firmer than just the shavings, and it's really absorbent to get those urine spots. If I needed to add more pellets, I would do it right on the base before I pull the sides down. But there's enough pellets still mixed in here that I don't need to add any extra today. Okay, so I've got all of the basic cleaning done, and I've got the older bedding pushed towards the back of the stall and mounted up in the middle. He's a gelding, so he's going to pee in the middle, and you know he's going to pass manure and basically pile it around the edges. So I don't want to put the clean bedding where I know he's going to go to the bathroom. So I want to take the stuff that's used already but basically dry, and put that for him to use next, and then I'll put the clean bedding in the front of the stall. I didn't have to put any pellets down because there's a lot of pellets still mixed in here, but I am going to need to add some shavings up front to make it, you know, cleaner where he's standing and where his nose is close to the ground where he's eating, so he's not breathing in the fumes from the yucky bedding. So again, name of the game is get rid of the ammonia smell. Some people like to use lime or like a stall freshener or whatever. That helps, but it's really only covering up the problem, which is that you need to find a way to get that urine-soaked bedding out of the stall. Okay. Also, I wanted to show you that I only took one wheelbarrow out of that stall, even with all of the cleaning and sifting and everything. So I didn't take out a ton of bedding with all of that cleaning that I just did. That's why it's so important to do the like toss up against the wall, the different stages of like, you know, pull it back, flip it up, pull it back down, because you'll take out less bedding that way if you're really sorting through the whole stall. The other thing is that I'm going to sweep back in front of the door, and this just helps minimize tracking the bedding back out into the aisle when you're coming and going or the horse is coming and going. And I don't keep a ton of bedding under the water buckets because when they splash and spill, it makes, you know, it gets all wet and then it gets moldy, and then again you've got, you know, things that are not good for respiration. Okay, if this is too much detail for you on stall cleaning, I'm sorry, but you know, it really, you know, it can really be done well or it can be done not so great. So, you know, if this helps your horse be a little bit healthier and a little more comfortable when they have to be in a stall, then that's awesome. If it's a total pain in the butt and it just doesn't work for you, that's also fine. But maybe you learned a couple of different techniques that will help make your cleaning go a little bit faster. So we're getting to the end here, where we do the bedding, and these shavings are not my favorite, really. They're too big of a flake. There's not enough like fluff going on. They're not as absorbent as I would like. So again, that's a good reason to mix the pellets in. So then you're taking out less of the fluffy part. I am going to end up putting 2 bags in here because again, the fluff factor is not where I want it to be. And this horse has navicular, so his front feet are often uncomfortable even with corrective shoes and meds and all of that. He shifts his feet back and forth a lot, which then pushes the bedding back. So if he's got enough bedding under his front feet, he doesn't move them around quite as much. His injured leg is a hind foot. So that's again why I want to have like a huge pile of bedding right in the middle where his hind legs are going to go, because he's going to stand there and eat his hay. He'll be like diagonal for most of the time unless he starts turning around to look out the window or whatever. So, you know, you can really tailor the way you arrange the bedding to the horse's needs, depending on if they're on layup or if this is just a, you know, one-time deal. You don't have to go all crazy, but if you have horses that live in stalls any, you know, significant amount of time, you can really figure out what works best for that horse. So I added the second bag of bedding, and it was a little more than I needed, so I just kind of piled it up against the wall over here, which is towards the front of the stall where I know he's not going to go to the bathroom. because this is where he eats and we're always coming and going through this part. So at least it's nice and clean up front, where he's going to be standing, where he's going to be eating his hay net all night. And so we try to keep it as organized as possible, because with any luck, if you keep putting the dirty stuff in the back, the horse will learn to go to the bathroom in the back. Potty training. It's possible. It can be done with some horses. But anyway, so I hope you guys maybe got a few tips on how to keep your horses a little healthier if they have to stay in a stall, how to clean more efficiently so you're not killing yourself, because nobody's getting any younger. And also how to maybe mix different types of bedding to get the most out of the features of each one. So Skip is ready to come back in his house. So I'd say Skip approves of the stall cleaning situation. He's right back to his favorite activities, which include eating hay and then dunking it in his water bucket. So our barn's not very fancy, but we do keep it clean. And that's more important than fancy any day of the week in my book. And I think Skip totally agrees with us.